there, single lady. Welcome to another Single Over 30 podcast episode. I am so glad that you're here. Before we get started, I want to share about something new that I have for you. It's a program that I've created especially for you to help you get more conversations with men, get more dates, and improve your opportunities to meet a trustworthy, commitment-minded man who loves and adores you. So to check this new program out, all you have to do is head on over to singleover30.net/sign up. Again, that's singleover30.net/sign up. First of all, you're going to get weekly expert dating and relationship trainings to help you find and attract a great guy. And these trainings will either come from me or another dating and relationship expert. I'm going to give you a bonus because you are going to get free VIP access to my online dating strategy training. And this training is going to help you weed through the wrong men and feel more confident online. This is the exact strategy that I've used with my one-on-one coaching clients, and they have met men and even tied the knot. Then you're going to get access to hundreds and hundreds of dating and relationship questions with their answers, along with bi-weekly group coaching. And then after 30 days, I am going to give you access to my Finding Mr. Right program that helps you develop greater confidence, attract the right kind of guy, and develop a great relationship. And this program alone, Finding Mr. Right, is worth $1,200. So again, to check this new program out, to see if you'd like to sign up, head on over to singleover30.net/sign up. Again, that's singleover30.net/sign up. SIGNUP.
Welcome to the Single Over 30 podcast with dating and relationship coach Shanna Schutte. Shanna's here to help you find a trustworthy, marriage-minded man who will love and adore you. Here's Shanna.
All right, so what we're going to talk about today is how not to appear needy and clingy to a man. Like, none of us want to do that, right? Because we don't want to push a man away without realizing it. Now, I want to tell you, this is something that I had a problem with when I was younger, and it came from a place of feeling insecure and feeling rejectable. And so therefore, whenever there was any kind of conflict or something that came up in a relationship, or when a guy started to pull away from me, I perceived that as he was going to abandon me or reject me, and I became very emotional, right? So all of this made me appear to be needy and clingy, which I was. So being needy and clingy comes from a place that's inside of us, but it can get kind of confusing, right? Because as a female, we're like, well, I don't even know what that means to be needy and clingy, right? How do I even identify that? I'd posted a meme on Facebook some time ago, and it said, showing emotional and feminine vulnerability gives masculine men the opportunity to protect, care for, and comfort you. That means a man who is a man, he wants to come alongside a woman, and he wants to do all those things for her, right? And feminine vulnerability allows him to do that. So we're not the kind of woman that's like, I don't need a man, I can do all this myself, because guys want to be needed. They don't want a clingy, needy woman, but like I said, they do want a relationship with a woman who can show her tender, vulnerable side when the time is right in a relationship. And when I put this meme up on Facebook, there was a woman who commented and said that what I shared was confusing. And I get it. It is confusing. She said, your message says a man wants to know his woman needs him, then immediately says he doesn't want a woman that's needy. So I know what needy and clingy look like, she says, but how do you demonstrate need without being needy? So maybe you've wondered the same. You want to be open and vulnerable, but you're afraid of being too much, right? It's like, I want to be there, but how do I know that I'm not being too much? So here are a few thoughts and a few tips that I hope help you. So a healthy woman can be vulnerable, emotionally vulnerable, but she isn't desperate. She knows how to be emotionally available to a man, but she doesn't smother him by expecting him to fix her. Right? She doesn't expect him to fix anything that feels broken inside of her. So if you want to show that you need a man, but you aren't needy, here are some things that you can do. You can share your heart at the appropriate time in the relationship. You can be honest about your struggles. You can ask for what you want. You can apologize when needed, and you can share what's on your heart and mind. But your sense of value, your sense of worth does not come from him, right? He is not your cake in your life. He is the icing on your cake. So my guess is when I mention these things that I just listed, that you already do these things with people in your life who you are close to and people who you trust. So a woman who needs a man can ask for what she wants, and she can be vulnerable with that man without being so emotional that she cannot engage in a conversation in a way that connects her to him, to her guy. So sure, there's times when most women cry. I'm raising my hand here. Crying is not a negative thing. It's a good thing. However, there is a difference between crying and falling apart most of the time. I had my share of falling apart in relationships when I was younger. So a woman who is overly emotional and she's teary most of the time when communicating with a man over a difficult topic or something that's painful for her doesn't come across as secure. She comes across as needy and insecure. So this is a really difficult topic for women who are sensitive and sensitive to negative words. Again, if you could see me right now, I'm holding up my hand. So a strength that any woman can develop in her relationships is to remind herself that her value does not come from the man that she is with, and to remind herself that the problem that she's currently having in the relationship might feel huge right then, right? It feels big and it feels overwhelming. But what can help solve it is when she stays calm in communicating. So this will help remember that, hey, this is happening right now, this problem's happening right now, and it feels really big. But if I react in a really strong way, it can cause the problem that you're having right then, this communication thing, to escalate into something that's even bigger. It's often really difficult for a man to connect with a woman when she's crying, especially if he doesn't really understand why she's reacting strongly. He might feel like, well, she's angry at me. I did something wrong. What do I do? Do I move toward her? Or maybe he just gets frustrated because he doesn't really understand and he doesn't know how to communicate with you. So staying calm, even when you feel teary, it's going to help you explain what you need so that he can respond. So this is one of the ways of differentiating between being needy and feeling insecure and being confident even when you are hurting. So when you are confident and you know that your value is not in the man that you are with, for me, my value comes from outside of me, right? From God. So when you know that your value does not come from this other guy, you can share your heart, you can be honest about your struggles, you can ask for what you want, you can apologize when needed, and you can share what's on your mind. I want to make sure that you understand too that you cannot fix communication with a man who is self-centered, selfish, abusive, or manipulative, right? It doesn't mean that you can make him be nicer to you, but what it can do is it can help you feel more calm and you feel more secure. So the way that clingy and needy look is by being desperate. So a woman who is emotionally unhealthy and isn't her own person, a woman who feels like she doesn't have any value without a man or without a particular man, is going to appear desperate. So if you think about what someone looks like if they're clingy or needy outside of a romantic relationship, it may help you define what that means to be needy and clingy. So if you can relate to anything that I read to you, I just want you to know in this list I'm about ready to give you that there is no shame, right? I was this person several times when I was single because I was afraid of being abandoned or afraid of being rejected. So if you can relate to any of these things, what you want to do is, and you can see those things as a pattern in your life, then maybe ask yourself, okay, so what's driving that? And where does that come from? Where does that feeling of not being valued come from? So here are a few ways that being desperate and needy can show up in our lives. The first is incessant texting and calling, right? I often talk about dating and relationships being like tennis. Like one person hits the tennis ball, maybe the guy hits it to you over the dating net and you hit it back. But when you feel insecure, you feel desperate and needy, what you're going to do is you're going to be the one who's initiating most of the time. You will be the one who's doing the calling most of the time and the texting most of the time. Being desperate and needy can also show up in, like I talked to you about, emotional drama and emotional upheaval, or not allowing a man to have his own life or have time to himself because maybe that makes you feel insecure. It shows up in needing constant affirmation because you don't feel good about yourself, or wanting to move too fast in the relationship. Maybe you're gushing over your feelings really early on and attaching to a man really quickly because you don't feel like your own person. It can show up in agreeing with everything that a guy says and not really having your own opinion. Maybe you remember that scene in the movie Runaway Bride when Maggie, who's the main character, is talking about how she likes her eggs. And the reality is she doesn't even know how she likes her eggs because she just goes along with whatever the guy says to her that she's currently in a relationship with. And she doesn't even know if she likes them scrambled or over easy or whatever because she's going along with whatever the guy says and whatever he likes. So that is another way that being desperate and needy can show up in our lives by not having our own opinion. It can show up in being too available, like you're always there for the guy. You don't have your own life, your own friends, your own agenda. The next is being jealous. I dated a guy one time who was very jealous, and that to me showed up as being desperate and needy. So in short, being needy kind of shows up in smothering a guy and with emotion and with wanting attention. And women aren't the only ones who do this. Like I said, sometimes men can do it too. So here's something really important to remember, that being clingy and needy comes from fear and from an internal weakness, like a pain spot that's inside of you. But being open and vulnerable are rooted in courage. Now, I know this can be really challenging and this can be really hard for us. So like I said, if you can identify with any of the things that I just mentioned and you can see some patterns in your life that show that you, by and large or on the whole, feel desperate and needy in relationships, I encourage you to get some help, like reach out to a counselor. If you would like to talk to me, I would be happy to do that. All right. Remember that the dream that you have to love and be loved is possible. And also remember to keep it sunny. Talk soon.